Hello, my name is Ketevan. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a massive unhaul and also scattering all the books that I'm unhauling into little free libraries around my neighborhood. I'm really excited to do this. I usually try to sell my books and then give away books, and I've done that with most of these. Like, they've been through, you know, the rounds. But I actually have some really big news coming up, which will come in probably the next or maybe second to next video. And this big news requires me to really declutter my home, and I'm sort of like redoing my living spaces. What you'll see, it'll make sense when it comes. But basically, this big stack of books that's been just sitting and sitting and sitting around for at least a year needs to just go. And I'm really excited to do this in my neighborhood. Without getting into the details, my neighborhood is not very big on English books. It's not one of the more wealthy neighborhoods in Paris. So anytime I've ever said on this channel, like, oh, my partner saw this at a little free library and he decided to pick it up and see if I'd like it, those are never in our neighborhood. Those are always in the 7th or 15th arrondissement, which is near the Eiffel Tower. Lots of tourists, lots of rich Americans live there. They often will have English books in the little free libraries around that part of Paris. But this part of Paris, there's very rarely English books. I think I've never seen an English book in a little free library in this neighborhood. So I'm very excited to sort of like put some English books out into my neighborhood. So we'll just get started. I think I'll just go through really quickly the books that I'm getting rid of and kind of sort of explaining why I'm getting rid of them. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. So I have this first stack here. I'll just sort of take half, I think. And so the first one, My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I really was expecting to enjoy this more. I DNF'd it. My friend Hannah, she has a channel on YouTube. She did not love it, but thought I might enjoy it, and I picked it up, I think, at a book swap. Yeah, but he, you know, I picked it up mostly because he's an Indigenous writer. He's I think he's Native American, if I'm remembering correctly. But he's a horror writer, and I don't not enjoy horror, but I think this level of like meta commentary on horror required me to know more about horror, because just like the references and stuff went right over my head, and like I think I DNF'd it really quickly because I was like, I literally don't even know what this character's talking about, because the character is into horror, so like what the character is talking about is just like, I'm like, what are you saying? I don't know. So yeah, I ended up DNFing that, but it'll be perfect to put in a little free library for November, so that's good. And so, okay, next up, Cape Cod Noir. I don't know why or how, but I somehow ended up with 2 copies of this. I'm not sure how, but it's like, I love this series. It's like noir stories in different collections geographically, so I am a fan, but not needing 2 copies. And then Waiting for the Barbarians by Jam Coetzee. So I have not read this yet, but I actually have 2 copies. When I went to Malta, I had a suitcase full of mystery things at my aunt's house that I didn't know what was in the suitcase. It turns out there was a whole bunch of books in there. So this was one of them, and I have a nicer copy of this already. I don't know how I ended up with 2 of them, because they were both copies were like from a previous life, but maybe I just picked up one in a used book sale or something, not realizing I had a copy in storage. So yeah, someone else will hopefully be able to enjoy this copy. Next up is Us Conductors by Shawn Michaels. I got this from a used bookstore, and when I picked up the book, I checked to see if the audiobook was at the library, and it was. So I said, sure, great. Like, I love these. It's like it's a historical fiction about something about Soviet science, something. Like, it seemed like a fun historical fiction that like I could just pick up whenever I felt like something a little bit lighter. And then when I went to go pick it up for something a little bit lighter, there was no audiobook at the library, and I'm guessing the license just ran out and the library didn't renew it. So without the audiobook, I'm probably never going to read this. I'm just being honest with myself. So bye-bye. And next we have The Third Man and Fallen Idol by Green, Graham Greene, I think his name is. Yeah, Graham Greene. You know, I thought I would give him a try. He's like obviously classic, but I started reading The Third Man, and I was just like, no. I don't remember what I said about it in my head, but I was just like, this is boring, and I just don't care. And then usually when that happens, I'm like, oh, it's my mood, it's me. I don't think it was. I just don't think I got along with his writing. So pass on that one. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I think I read this and I enjoyed it, but I actually enjoyed the TV show better. Ooh, is that I've had to, like, one of the few times. So I don't think I'll ever reread the book. I probably would rewatch the show though, so that kind of like says all I need to say. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think a friend wanted this, so I might not unhaul this. We'll see. Alrighty, and next up we have Hell's Angels. This one's a duplicate. I have my like first real copy in my bookshelf. I think I picked this up thinking I had lost my copy, and then when I went to put it away, I was like, oh, I already have this. Why did I think I had this? So it was a used copy, so I wasn't too heartbroken about it. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely like, if you have to appreciate the subject matter, otherwise it's like, why are you reading this? I actually read this in college specifically to write an anthropology paper on cunnilingus during menstruation, because this is something Hell's Angels like glorifies culturally, like. So yeah, I read this book to reference it in a paper, and it was actually a pretty good book. It's, you know, it's interesting. It's about biker gangs in California. The UN Exposed. Oh yes, so this is one of the books I picked up in Malta, and I'm like, how did 18-year-old me think this was a good idea? It's called The UN Exposed: How the United Nations Sabotages America's Security and Fails the World, by Eric Shawn, who is a Fox News person. Yeah, I literally, and like the blurbs are from like Bill O'Reilly, Ann Coulter, Sean Hamby. Like, I literally don't know what. It was probably like me saying like, I should have a fair and balanced view. Like, I should read what the other side is saying. Like, I don't know. I just remember getting, like, I remember purchasing this in high school. So obviously, like, things have changed. I'm almost like not even sure I want to put it in a little free library, but whatever. It's not that evil, I suppose. And we'll see. Next up is Tulips and Chimneys by E.E. Cummings. I actually bought this new, for, not new, but like, you know, I spent more than €3 on it basically, which is like, to me, like a lot of money. And I've tried so many times to read this and I just don't enjoy it. And it's poetry, and like, I mean, if you're not enjoying poetry, like, why are you reading it? So, I mean, E.E. Cummings is like famous for this, like, you know, alternative, style of like putting the words on the page differently and things like that. And that's fine. That doesn't bother me, obviously. But I'm just not enjoying it. So off it goes. So next up we have Orlum by PJ Harvey. I picked this up also from Book Swap from a friend, and it sounded so interesting. Like, I really like was thinking of getting into it. It's written in Cornish, and like each page is like the Cornish and the English on each side of the page, and so like it's just very interesting, and it's like a year-long like coming of age story about this little girl, and I just, everything about that description is like, yes, perfect. But I just like, I couldn't, again, I was just not enjoying it and like feeling like I was forcing myself to read it, and just like, if you're forcing yourself that much, time to go. So off it goes. And then next we have A Concise History of Irish Art. My used bookstore, it's actually quite sad. Sometimes you can just tell when certain people have died. So for like 6 months, my used bookstore just had like this like inundation with like Irish literature, art, and history. And so clearly like a professor of Irish studies or something, or Irish literature had passed away, and like they had gotten the big box of all his stuff, or her stuff, but probably his stuff. And so yeah, so I had to restrain myself a bit, but also I was like, I'm gonna take advantage and take as many Irish books as I want. And so one of these was Irish Art, A Concise History of Irish Art. And it's just one of those, like, you know, it's almost like a museum book, I think. It's not, it's published by a publisher, but it feels kind of like a textbook a little bit. I flipped through it. I got what I wanted to get out of it, and I'm going to pass it on. Okay, next up we have The Storyteller by Pierre Jarouan. Again, a friend gave this to me when she was unhauling it, and she said she thought it was just an okay story, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's set in Lebanon, but I believe the author is not Lebanese, maybe? I'm not sure. Or it's translated from German, so probably they're German. I don't know. But anyway, I started it. Again, it wasn't like pulling me in, and I said, you know what? Just, it's a sign. It's the sign, right? You shouldn't be reading stuff that you can't really truly enjoy from the get-go. Next up, we have The Vagina, A Literary and Cultural History by L.E. Reese. I really thought I would like this one. I bought the Audible so I could listen to this book. It's not bad. It's just so academic and dry, and like I love academic books. Like you can't scare me by saying like, oh, it's very academic. It's by an academic publisher. Like I read those all the time. This is just like painfully boring. I don't know. Because it's like the cultural history of the vagina. So we're like talking about lots of like cultural things that are actually like not that big a deal, like at least to me. So like, I don't know. I think I read like a third of it. Like I really tried to give it a good go. It's just not for me. So passing that along. And now we have the second stack of books coming this way. So here we go. Nicholas Sparks, Dear John. I think I've tried to sell this like 3 times now. Nobody wants it. It's just, you know, time to go. Out of Africa and Shadows on the Grass by Isaac Dinesen. I read this, enjoyed it. If I wanted a nicer copy, if I find a nicer copy for cheap, I'll buy it. But this is like a trade paperback. And I don't know. I just didn't love the story, so I think that's, I don't know. Don't need to keep it. Next up, we have The Martian, Andy Weir. I was genuinely shocked at how bad this was. Like, wow. I was like, wow. So yeah, don't need to keep my copy. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams. I love, love, love the TV show, and I thought I would love the book. But then I found out that the audiobook of this is like a BBC like stage production, and I don't see myself, like, it's very rare that I read like a just for fun, like fluffy kind of book. I won't read it like in a physical copy. So for me, like the chances of me actually getting around to this is like probably slim to none for the next like 5 years. So passing it along. And then next up, I have 4 Roald Dahl books. I hadn't read any Roald Dahl as a kid. I don't know why. I was forbidden from a lot of books as a kid, but not these, if I recall correctly. Maybe because they were considered boy books and no one gave them to me. I don't know. But yeah, I read them as an adult. They're fine. I like wouldn't honestly give them to a child. Like there's nothing to me that special about them. Don't come at me. But like, I don't get it. Like, so yeah, we have Fantastic Mr. Fox, Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and oh, I'm just realizing now that I don't think I've actually read Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, which I think is like a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But these are all on audio, so if I want to read it, I'll just grab the audio. And The Brain That Changes Itself. I picked this up in a library sale for like $1 or $2, and I just like quickly like skimmed the Goodreads. I saw the reviews. I was like, okay, cool, this is good enough. And then I took it all the way to Paris, and then I like read more in depth about like who this author is and like blah, blah, blah. Psychoanalyst. I don't read books by psychoanalysts. It's a whole thing. France is obsessed with them. I am not. So yeah, on the DNF pile it goes. You know what? Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam. I'm actually going to un-DNF it. This is why I keep things in piles for a long time so that I can have time to reflect. I said to myself after I finished this book, like, okay, that was like a basic dystopian, like whatever. But I think I enjoyed it more than I realized. So like with marination, I enjoyed it more. So okay, keeping that one. All right, Frost on My Mustache, The Arctic Exploits of a Lord and a Loafer. I don't remember exactly what this is. Oh, it's historical. Okay, so basically it's just like a historical story of this like this aristocrat from the 1800s about his adventures in the Arctic. Again, this is not on audio, and it's just like, it's for me to read just for fun, and like I just don't read books for fun unless they're on audio anymore. Yeah, it's just the truth. So I usually like save this for like every year. I'm like, oh, for wintry season, but like I haven't been picking it up. I've had it for like maybe 2 years now, so just not feeling it. One Day by David Nichols. Did I finish this? Or did I not? I think I didn't finish it. Yeah, I DNF'd it. Like, I didn't get spoiled the ending, but I just realized, like, about however far I got into, probably less than 10%, I just didn't care about the ending. So I'm like, ooh, if the whole thing is like, how does this thing end after 20 years? And I don't care how it ends. Like, maybe it's a sign I shouldn't be reading it. Just a thought. And then finally, last but not least, The Origins of Sex, A History of the First Sexual Revolution. Again, something I thought would be really interesting, but it really is just super dry, super boring, couldn't grab my attention. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing about this interests me anymore. So, yeah, goodbye it goes. So that was all the books I'm going to sprinkle around my neighborhood in little free libraries. I think I'm going to try putting them in like little pre-piles, just so I'm not deciding which books go in which library, so that each library gets like a little like diverse assortment, you know, a little fiction, a little children's, a little whatever, nonfiction, all those the good things. So I'll do that really quick and then come right back and we'll see how it went. So I have the books, I have about 25 books. I have organized them into like nonfiction, fiction, literary fiction, and children's, and I'm gonna kind of like do a little mix for each pile. There'll be about 8 books per pile, which I think is fine for a little free library. That's not too many to shove in, assuming they're not full, and I think it'll be good. So I'll show you those piles and what I put in each pile when I'm at the little free library, so see you in a second. Hello, we're at the first Little Free Library, and I can see already that we have one English book in here already. It's called Think Like a Freak. Oh, from the authors of Freakonomics. I didn't really want to read Freakonomics, so I'm going to put that back. And I see that there's actually, oops, knock this over. I see that there's a Graham Greene, but it's in French, and it's a really nice copy, actually. This is the kind of book you'd want if you like only collect books to like have them look pretty on your shelf, which I don't do, but. Yeah, let's see. Oh, there's like a little book about Retour à Paris. Oh, cute! It's like comparing the different shots of Paris 100 years apart. Oh, that's fun. Huh, people shots, architecture. That's cute. I like that. Oh, but also don't really want it.
Yeah, I would want that.
Okay, so my friend here, Carol, who's recording me, she wants it, so we'll take that. We'll put it to the side. Okay, so here's my first stack of books. We got The Orlum, The Vagina, Hell's Angels, One Day, Frost on My Mustache, Dirks Gently, and A Roald Dahl, Fantastic Mr. Fox. So we're gonna put these in, but first, I just noticed, this is probably the most Parisian thing I've ever seen, but I've never seen it before. 2 scarves, which I assume are like donations, like they want you to take them, but we'll just put those to the side and I'll stick these right here. Boop. So they're there, whoever wants them. There's also some newspapers in here, kind of funny, but we'll see if they get taken. Alrighty, so there they are, happily ever after. Awesome, on to the next one. Alrighty, so we're here at the second Little Free Library. This one I've actually never gone into myself, even though I pass by it all the time. It's nicely painted with books, and it's actually quite full. There's tons of these little livre poche. It's like the very, very cheap, kind of like the trade paperback, but like almost every like popular book is published in this format so that it's affordable. But they're all in French, so let's see if there's any in English. No, not up here. And not, oops, and not down here, but there is like Sherlock Holmes. I saw Arsène Lupin a second ago. If you haven't seen that Netflix series, that's pretty good. And then what is this, a wine book? No, it's just wine on the back. It's like a guidebook to Paris, I think. Alrighty, so I have my I'm gonna put you, okay. Yeah, so we've got the Graham Greene, the Storyteller, My Heart is a Chainsaw, stick it in there, The Martian and Out of Africa, here, and we've got Matilda, Little Fires Everywhere, Irish Art, and The Brain That Changes Itself. We'll put those up here, and close her up, and on to the next. French. Oh man, do I have to tell that? That would be so cute. Alrighty, so there are actually two here, which I was a little surprised by, but it looks like one's for children's stuff and one's for adult stuff, which makes sense. And then this really big book, what is this? With No One as Witness. Oh, it's in English, okay. It's like maybe a crime novel. Very cool. And then, what language is this? Is this Romanian, you think? What is this? Well, anyway, it's a book in not English, French, or well, maybe it's Portuguese? No. I don't know, but it's about potty training. What the heck? Do you recognize this language? What is it? I don't know. Weird. Okay, so put those in. And for our last but not least pile, we've got, okay, Dear John, The Origins of Sex, the UN Exposed. Those there. And we've also got Waiting for the Barbarians, E. Cummings, and Kate Cod Noir. Those at the top. U.S. Conductors, but that on top. And then we'll just mosey on over to the children's section, which, wow, is a mess. Take a look at this. Look at this hot mess of a book. We'll clean it up a bit. It's fine. And then we've got, I decided to keep the two Charlie books together. So, whoa. Okay, here's we go. Let's do this. Oh, Peter Pan. Fun. Cute. Actually, should I take this? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take this. This would be the. I started reading children's books in French just so I could like feel like I read a book quickly instead of like slogging through like an Annie or No for 6 months. So I'm gonna take this actually. It's the classic. All right, so there's magazines in here.
Robin Hood.
There's a Robin Hood in like possibly the oldest copy I've ever seen. Oh, it's not illustrated. Oh, and it's falling apart, but it's cute. Here we go. Look how much nicer that is now. Okay. Ta-da! That's our last and final little free library. I'm wondering if these were like a more of a neighborhood initiative because they have little like plaques. They're called les nids, which is like the nests. So I'm wondering if they're actually more in the neighborhood, but I have to like check it out. So I found these on a website. I'll link it down below. It's like kind of like the Little Free Library of France, maybe. I don't know. It's not like a nonprofit where you have to pay to register at like the other Little Free Libraries, which I find so annoying, by the way. And so they give you just like the GPS coordinates and like a photo of what it looks like to give you an idea of how to find them. But I'm actually wondering now if there are more of these. Because if there are, I kind of like them. They're very like fun looking, although they do kind of get disgusting really quickly because they're open. So maybe not actually the best plan for a Little Free Library, but they look cool and they look nice in a park. So anyway, our last one, all my books are given away. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.
Okay, so you quickly want to well, Alice.
How's your weekend been?
Huh?
How's your weekend been?
Oh well, pretty good. I've
You
been
went to a concert.
Yeah, Noel
yesterday, right?
Gallagher.
What?
Noel Gallagher,
Oh,
the one part of Oasis.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, I thought she had like a bag full of books to drop off, but now she
No,
looks.
this is like, I think, one of the most active Little Free Libraries I've ever seen. Like, you come every single day, and it's literally different every single day. It's wild. Okay, so I'll just start all over.